Hi, everybody. We're going to jump right into day 11. Okay. I'm just going to reread the very last paragraph. What potential? The potential God sees in you, the doors He is opening for you, the gifts and callings He is drawing out for you. If God says you can change, you can change. If He says you can help somebody, you can help somebody. If He says He's put something in you, then He will call it out of you. Is your limitation shouting louder than your potential because you won't move past it until you get to see past it? You'll settle for the status quo. You'll argue for your limitations. You'll advocate for your very things that hold you back because you can't visualize a future where you are free from them. Oh yeah, don't do that. I don't like making these videos, and you know I struggled in my last one, but it's what God called me to do, and so He is drawing it out of me, and when I do it in obedience, I feel so much better. You have to catch a version of you that God sees. God sees the you that He created when it all started. He's like, yeah, that looks good on him, or that looks good on her. That's who she's going to be. That's who he's going to be. So you have to catch a version of you that God sees, because that version will pull you out of what you're stuck in and propel you towards what you were created for. Once you agree with God about what He sees in you and what He says about you, you'll stop fighting your future. As I mentioned already, fear of failure is one of the biggest motivations behind our arguments. We often defend our status quo because we're afraid that if we try to change it, we'll fail. And failure seems like a worse outcome than staying stuck. I remember a stand-up comic who was talking about learning to perform in public. And he said something to the effect of, you've got to bomb in order to get good. You've just got to get up, bomb in front of the audience, then realize, oh, that happened and I didn't die. Nobody hunted me down to kill me for it. They moved on and forgot about it. That sounds a little depressing, but it's actually encouraging. Fear of failure can be such a loud voice in our head that we never attempt to take the next step. In the moments you face the things you fear, through God strengthens you for it. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and do the thing you believe God is calling you to do. Even if it bombs once or twice, then you realize, oh, that wasn't so bad. In all of these areas I'm freaking out about, God is already at work. He can do this. He can get there. I can be that person I see ahead. I can overcome the obstacles I'm facing. I've got some work to do, but I can't imagine going back to the old me now. Okay, I got a side note there. But I can't imagine going back to the old me now. Once you start along in this little process of finding the new you and finding your purpose, and you start making some momentum, you start doing some consistent steps to get you farther along. It says, and I can't imagine going back to the old me now. And I got a little side note. It says, I may never see the prayer chain completely filled, but if I help one soul along the way, this is all worth it. So if anybody ever sees one of my videos, or, you know, prayer chain aside, because that is my main goal, get 9 million people to the American Discovery Trail every year. But if I just help one person along the way making these videos, then it's worth it. Remember that. You know, progress is great, but you don't have to have an amazing outcome. Like, it doesn't have to be world-changing event. You can just help somebody. That is the biggest mission in our lives, is to just help people along the way. All right. You have to listen to God's arguments for you, or you'll be persuaded by your own arguments against you every time. You'll let the devil's lies and the world's labels define you. They can't see the real you, though. Only God can do that. But you have to agree with him. Remember the 12 spies Moses sent into the promised land? They came back saying, we seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. It's in Numbers chapter 13, if you want to read it. They argued for a grasshopper self-image, and they lived a grasshopper existence in the wilderness for the next 40 years. The following generation had a different mindset, though. To some point, they rejected the way their parents thought about themselves and God. That doesn't mean they were disrespectful, but they drew lines. They learned, they grew, and when Joshua sent 2 spies to check out the land, they came back with an optimistic report. The Lord had surely given the whole land into their hands. All the people are melting in fear because of us. The new generation looked at the same land, the same enemies, and the same risks, but they had a different mentality. They agreed with God about their potential, and that set them up for growth and victory. And that's how you get growth and victory. You believe and agree with the potential God has put in you. The old version of you got you this far, so don't hate it. You just don't define it when it comes time to change. Your past failures and success are all part of who you are, but they don't get to decide who you will become. Agree with God and commit to progress. Say, I'm all right. God, I don't know if I see myself this way, but you do. You think I have what it takes, and that's why you let me face this situation. You obviously know something about me that I don't. So I'm going to step up. I'm going to rise to the level of God's expectations, not sink to the level of my own experiences. Ask yourself, am I arguing for my limitations or for my potential? Am I defending what I've always done or developing what God says I can do? Am I agreeing with my fear or with my future? Which one are you agreeing with? Your fear or your future? Faith over fear, baby. It's a choice you make. It's mindsets you put on. You're not stuck unless you stop. So agree with God and grow into your potential. Amen. All right, I'm going to stop there. American Discovery Trail Day Prayer. The goal is to get 9 million believers to the American Discovery Trail. You can Google it, find your spot. And on the 3rd Sunday in October every year, which is October 18th, 2026 this year, just fill your gas tanks up and put as many people in your car as you can. Get to the American Discovery Trail And we are all together going to lift up our voices in prayer and praise the whole way across our nation in a heart-to-heart, hand-to-hand prayer chain. That's it. It's simple. Just get there and show up, have your praise and worship list on across the time zones, so we're all there at the same time. You want to be there at 10 Pacific, 11 Mountain, 12 Central, and 1 Eastern time. Okie dokie. Y'all have a great day and say your prayers.